Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have another interesting game to share with you. On the white end, LeelaKnightOdds, no Queen Knight, playing against Grandmaster, former player on lichess. This was a 10+5 time control, played October 22nd. Alright, a bird's opening start. And I think those of you who are system players will be attractive to this initial phase. These moves we're seeing by Leela can pretty much be played in response to whatever Black is throwing our way, kind of like a King's Indian attack setup or King's Indian defense. We have now Queen C2, very cagey start, shooting next for this E4 advance. From here, Black plays C5. Now, if Black tries to interfere with this F5 idea when you're playing with still the Queen Knight, Bishop F5 is just going to end up backfiring. Knight D2 is there, and E4 will soon be hitting with tempo. Alright, in this one we have C5, E4 sure enough, and Black takes this undermining of the pawn chain approach, targeting the base. In comes E5, pawn takes, new piece developed on the recapture, Knight E4. Leela is not interested in pawn hunting here, giving up a bishop for a knight. What we have here is bishop E3. If bishop captures knight, this queen will eventually be targeted. It's not really worthwhile to give up that light square bishop for the knight. Bishop F5 straight away. Maybe B2 falls. Knight C6 first, nearby. Bishop F5 is there. It's not worthwhile to go hunting a pawn like this, opening the position. So we have here bishop E3. Note the difference between developing the bishop and knight in this position. If you develop the knight, what's available to Black is knight C5 targeting the bishop. A check is met with bishop D7 welcoming an exchange. Bishop E2, bishop F5 is there with tempo, converging on these light squares. We have immediate control over this invasive knight. In this game, it's bishop E3. There is now not a single good knight move in this position. In fact, this piece is simply worked around in this game, and it is not the first time we've seen this approach by Leela. Covered a game not too long ago out of the Vienna, Leela playing the white pieces. When I share these games, they're meant to stand alone, but if you want to maybe extract a little bit more out of the ideas, I think viewing this game and the one I've linked out of the Vienna, there's maybe something more you can take away. We're going to see Leela once more in this game work around an invasive knight. In the linked game, you'll end up seeing a knight planted on D4. Okay, after bishop E3, bishop G7, and from here, rook D1 is played. First move you can't play if you're playing with the queen knight. If you still have the queen knight in this position, a good move is to develop it at this point. Immediately challenge this knight. We'd see an exchange. The evaluation there is reading about plus 1.1. All right, no queen knight in this game. We have rook D1. Now this is serious. Can't recapture. Queen would be under fire. So Black at this stage gets out of the pin. Queen C7 is played here. Another approach here, Stockfish 17.1 at least, is drawn to bishop G4. A knight block on one of these two with knight D7 to follow. That's Black's way to address this pin, this idea to take the knight on E4. All right, in this one, it's an immediate queen C7. Now comes bishop B5 check, and after the bishop blocks, the big center pawn here is swiped, removing the key defender now of this knight. Light square bishop exchange, and from here we have queen C6, targeting the rook, defending the knight. Computer prefers A6 here. in response to a6 if rook b6, knight d7 is there. Okay, this rook comes under fire in this case by the queen. Slightly awkward in that this knight now does not have access to its favorite square. All right, the response here is to defend the rook. f5, a much more reliable defender of the knight. f5. If a6 is played in this position, black would be lost. a6 in this position, available would be rook b6. And where do you move the queen to still defend the knight? Queen d5 is the only move. In comes c4, queen is kicked. The knight will fall next. So a6 one move later, in short, is losing. In this case, we have here f5. Okay, this knight is now stable. And at the same time, this bishop is not having such a fun time. e5 can no longer be challenged by a black pawn after this advance. It's having a tough day at the office here, trying to have some influence in the position. Leela here is not interested in capturing. No, e takes f en passant. Knight can recapture, and the knight has a bunch of different jumps, maybe at some stage. Okay. Leela just plays around this piece, continues with development. Knight e2. I tried to find a difference between e2 and the knight's favorite square. Couldn't come up with one. At the end of the day, it's just going to drift into d4 shortly. From here, it is a6, rook b6, and knight d4. This interferes with this queen knight going to its favorite square. It still goes there. Computer's looking at knight d7, rook backing off. All right, black still goes to c6, welcomes this fractured queenside in order to get another piece exchange in there. Follow up queen b3. Something that grabbed my attention with this position, the major pieces. These two are very active for white. White here interfering with castles. All black major pieces still on rank 1. From here, queen d7, king e2. Next up, rook d1. This queen is nearly out of any good squares. Keep in mind, rook b7 is right around the corner, controlling the second rank, 7th rank. Black's play is queen d5. Now, if a battery is formed instead with rook d8, it points out rook d1 is best, welcoming 2 sets of major pieces coming off. And from here, it's looking at g5. It says maintain the structure to control the bishop and then activate the king. Black, in playing in this way, forming the battery like this, there's no longer a defender over a6. Now there's a very dangerous passed a pawn. Evaluation here is reading about 0. One of the top moves is rook f8. At first glance, a head scratcher. How in the world do you justify rook f8? This is Stockfish's idea, at least. It wants to now sacrifice on e5 and then bolt with the f pawn. Okay, we don't see that path. We don't have a battery formed at this stage here. It's queen d5, queen exchange, rook d1. From here, black plays king d7, the pawn falls. Black's idea is to keep the king hanging out on the queen side. This is faulty. White is for choice after this, and just a move or two later, completely winning. The top approach at this stage is g5. Keep in mind, trying to hang on to this pawn. I mean, how do you do that? Have e6 covered, trying to defend the pawn, playing rook d8. The a pawn is falling. This here is the top line. g5, rook takes pawn, and then it's pointing out h5. Evaluation here reading about minus 1.4. Okay, this knight's still struggling. All right, in this game, black plays king d7, rook captures pawn check, king c7. It's considered lost now for black. It says best is to go back to where you came from. Even then, it's not fun. This was never the idea in playing king d7 in the first place, so black is at least consistent. The king parks itself on c7, and now we have the e-pawn coming under fire. Black is all bottled up here. Defensive mode, follow-up, bishop b6 check, king c8, and after move 25, a5, black resigns. Does anything grab your attention about this final position? For me, it's that all of white's pieces play, and none of black's pieces play. Everything is under control here by white. Black is in a complete knot. There's no way to make progress here. This pivot square taken away, rook restricted, knight still cannot move, bishop staring at a rock. This rook has one safe square, but if you play in this way, it's a checkmate in 3. There's no good moves here left for black. And black started with an extra piece. Anyhow, your thoughts with this one. Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.